Okay, that's great. Hi, everyone. This is the last speak, and glad we make to the last slide, last talk. So, talk I'm going to give today is called "Understanding the Impact of Underrepresented Ethnic and Sexual Orientation Groups in STEM Education." So, my name is Gaoxiang Zhou, or you can call me Gavin. So right now I'm in the Department of Electrical and Computer Engineering at University of Pittsburgh. Um, First, because this is a talk about myself and my experience a little bit, so I want to first introduce myself. So I'm right now a teaching-oriented adjunct professor in an engineering department in the university. And for the past few years, I was doing a PhD research on system and circuit design in biological system. That is why I'm connected to the bio field. So right now you can say as an Asian male, I was born in China, where the LGBTQ community is still largely suppressed. And any kind of open discussion in a newspaper or like official media is disallowed. So I struggled with my sexual orientation identity until like senior year in my undergraduate, which was 2016. So, and also I'm not out yet in my workspace or in front of the classroom settings, but probably in the future I'm open to do so. And so this proposed work and study is based on some like existing literature research and also my observation and my survey from my class and the report from my university. And so my university is not that diverse demographic. As you can see, the picture I post here with the class I teach for the past spring semester. Like majority of the students are white. Yeah. So, and also this proposed work is ongoing. So you may find some results can be improved or is still missing. I will continue to do this research for the coming months or years. So outline of today's talk is I'm going to first talk about the demographic in students, educators in STEM education, main in the States. And also I'm going to talk about the existing working conditions regarding ethnic group and sexuality orientation group in college educator. And I'm going to talk about the investigation on how those characteristics influence students' perceptions on class and teaching evaluation. Last but not least, I'm going to give some of my thoughts and suggestions to college or universities, how we can improve the situation of minority educators. So first, let's take a look at the demographic in the workforce of STEM education in the U.S. As you can see from these published data, so for STEM jobs and workforce, so males still account for more percentages than females, and we see a huge huge portion of Asian. And although we see a huge portion of Asian, I'll talk about that why Asian is still a minority based on my understanding in the STEM workforce. And also I show here the whites and Hispanic and Latinos. So this is a current demographic of workforce in STEM in the US. And speaking of the students, because as educators, we are dealing with students almost every day. So there is some published research data like by Brown University. So in my university, we do not have this kind of data. So I try to find universities large, and also they do the survey from year to year. From this bar chart, we can see that from year 2010 until 2023, the percentage of students who identify themselves as LGBTQ is getting higher and higher, and especially after after the U.S. Supreme Court affirmed the same-sex marriage, and nowadays you can see a huge percentage of bisexual students, which shown here as the green parts in the bar charts, and but the STEAM educators of LGBTQ people compared to the students is disproportional. A study in 2016 using national data suggests that, and also suggests that the faculty members who are in this group is more likely to be gay instead of like lesbian and other groups. And also there are some difficulties when we connect data because when we collect data, it's more like a self-identification, and those minority educators may not feel comfortable disclosing their orientation, their gender identity due to this potential discrimination. And in national level, there isn't any national database that's tracking this information. So all the data we get online could be just estimate or doing some sample from a local or several universities and use that as a estimate of the general nationwide data. So the working conditions for those minority groups are different by group by group. I'm talking here using an example of Asian faculty. Although nowadays we see a huge portion of Asian faculties in STEM education compared to the other minority groups, and many people may have the feeling, oh, maybe Asian faculty right now is a majority, but if you look at their positions in the higher tier positions, and or compare their data in like the accepted proposals in the like funding agencies, we can still see that Asian is holding disadvantages compared to white people, and even compared to Black and Latino groups. So here I researched in some literature to find the cumulative disadvantage for different group of people and their percentage in accepted proposals. As you can see here, Asian still has a big disadvantage compared to others. And working conditions for the sexual orientation minority groups. So there are surveys online or who shows which shows that 45% of LGBT faculty report that their institutions, only 45% of the faculty feel that their institution provide enough resource and services for those people, and 53% of the staff feeling the same. And it's said that like the LGBTQ students, if the university has a well-defined policies that is inclusive of those minority groups, and we can create a positive climate for the campus. This will not only affect the feeling of faculty and staff, but also affect the feeling of how students perceive the faculty's work. And the working conditions or benefit of LGBTQ minorities even worse by some healthcare standard or like HR benefit. For example, some public institutions for state of Florida, are restricted by state laws from providing access to the family and partner benefit for same-sex marriage couples, and those LGBT respondents were less likely to agree that they have like equal access across the gender activity and sexual identity when they get hired. And also there are like less than 60% of LGBTQ faculty and 70% of staff feel that they have the equal access to the health care benefit, which is very important in the States. So given all the working conditions for the LGBT minorities, we also want to study the student perceptions of minority when they deliver lectures, when they do the research. And article published in 2020 showed that academics, gender, ethnic, and language, and sexual identity, age, and visible disabilities can largely impact students' evaluation of their teaching and their research. So I listed here some of the previous publications about significant bias in favor of male academics in their studies of more than 45,000 students evaluation of teaching. We call SET data points. The highest SET scores are given to young, white, like able-bodied and heterosexual male academics who speak English as their first language, and also domestic students. So, for example, students who are American citizens are more likely to provide lower SET scores than diverse students who are like international students or students from overseas. So this kind of data point shows that student perceptions on minority educators that also affect how faculty and educators choose whether to come out or not in their workspace. And I also want to talk about the teaching survey in my university. So in my university, we are working with students to connect their feedback in pre-semester, mid-semester, end of term surveys, and that will help us tailor our teaching styles and do like a college level or department level assessments that will affect how the faculties and professors get tenure or get promoted. So each semester we have a very like relatively high response rates, and also almost like each course you have to opt in to get this college level, university level teaching service. And inside that survey, we have questions like this, like whether the instructor maintain an environment where students feel comfortable seeking assistance, or the instructor creates an inclusive learning environment of all the students. Although we have questions like this, there were some news from my university earlier this year that discussed the ambiguity about this kind of definition of the DEI, which is diversity, inclusiveness, and equity. So there were a lot of discussions whether this kind of word need to be rephrased and to guide students to think more before they rate their professors. And so since this study is still ongoing, and so I haven't got all the report from my university regarding how the different faculties receive scores, whether these scores has some correlation with their minority groups or like their ethnic, their sexual orientations. But we can get some public data, which is from another website called Read My Professor. I'm not so sure whether faculties in Europe, they will use this, but in US, students will rate their professors based on their lecture styles on external websites. The OMS survey result will only available to the OMS survey in my university will only available to the faculties themselves, but any student can access their the faculties Read My Professor webpage before they choose their class. So there are studies showing that whether students perceive their faculty as funny, as interesting, as harsh, as strict, based on their gender, based on the domain of their teaching. So if we can explore data from this external source, we can conduct more research whether minority groups are affected by students' perceptions. So to summarize my thought and suggestions, so we know that many universities or colleges, the faculties or staff, they are unionized and try to have our bargaining units against the administration. So if we can prioritize LGBTQ and racial, ethnic, gender diversity in the union, maybe you can have more bargaining power um, in their bargaining process to form a more inclusive and diverse environment for minority groups. And you should also discuss the action plans with the leaders of those union or members, and also proposing some diversity activities to hold in the campus. And definitely you can also design some group that can coordinate the diversity effort or connect to the city LGBTQ community or non-profit organization in the city or in the states to promote the development of that more diversity and inclusiveness. So that concludes my talk. And if you have any question, I'm happy to take that. Otherwise, and thank you for your listening. And I'm happy to collect on LinkedIn. Thank you.
Thank you, Gaoxiang. I think that was the perfect last talk for this event because it takes us directly to the roundtable discussion. So before going into that, is there any question from the audience? I have one question. So you show
Sure.
this that over time there was an increase in, I guess, might be self-reported identities. This one. Um,
Yes.
this is was it changed? I mean, the same categories were available across years, or some categories appeared later? Because I was checking that, pansexual started to appear in 2022, and I don't know if before that it was zero pansexual or.
I think this also follow the trends that in the States we begin to realize there are not just LGBTQ, we have many subgroup like plus. So I bet that is why in the previous years they don't take that as an option. So students who identify themselves as like others, maybe they would choose one of the like other groups, like the yellow ones.
Mhm. Thank you.